Imagine walking into a crowded room and, within seconds, knowing every person's occupation, recent activities, and even their deepest anxieties just by glancing at them. No psychic powers, no elaborate technology, it's pure observation. This isn't the stuff of fiction, it's the power of hyper-awareness, the same ability that made Sherlock Holmes the most legendary detective in history. But here's the shocking truth. Holmes' genius isn't just literary magic. His methods are real and you can learn them for over a century. People have admired Sherlock Holmes as a fictional mastermind. But what if I told you that his abilities aren't beyond human reach? That with the right training, you could develop the same razor-sharp intuition, masterful deduction, and near-supernatural insight into people's minds. In this book, we unlock the secrets behind Sherlock Holmes' brilliance step by step by the end of this chapter. You'll see why Holmes isn't just a fictional character, but a blueprint for mastering perception, critical thinking, and problem-solving at an elite level. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Hidden Genius of Sherlock Holmes. The myth versus the reality. Most people believe Sherlock Holmes is just an exaggerated, literary creation, a genius detective whose skills exist only in fiction. But what if I told you that his abilities are rooted in real psychological principles? Holmes' mind isn't a product of magic or superhuman intelligence. His brilliance comes from deliberate thinking patterns, trained observation, and a disciplined approach to knowledge. The difference between Holmes and the average person isn't IQ. It's how he thinks. Here's what sets him apart. He sees what others miss by training his mind to focus on details that seem insignificant. He questions everything instead of accepting assumptions as truth. He processes information logically, stripping away distractions and biases. These aren't gifts. They are skills. And once you understand the principles behind them, you can develop them too. This chapter will break down how Holmes' mind works and how you can apply his thinking strategies to your own life. Lesson 1. The art of seeing versus observing. You see, but you do not observe. The distinction is clear. Sherlock Holmes. Most people go through life seeing but not truly observing. They glance at their surroundings but don't absorb the details that matter. Holmes' first major lesson is this: train yourself. 2. Notice what others overlook. Let's put this into practice. Test yourself. The awareness experiment. Take 30 seconds and look around your environment. Then, close your eyes and try to recall the exact color of the walls, the number of objects on the nearest table, the specific shoes someone near you is wearing. Chances are you struggle with at least one of these, not because you didn't see them, but because your brain filtered them out as unimportant. Holmes doesn't just look, he actively observes. Every detail, no matter how small, becomes a potential clue how to train this skill. Slow down and consciously scan your environment when entering a room. Pause for 5 seconds and take in every key detail. Use the 3 things rule. When meeting someone, force yourself to notice 3 distinct things about them: their shoes, their posture, their hands, or anything that stands out. Describe what you see in your mind instead of just looking at a watch. Mentally note: silver wristband, black dial, worn leather strap used daily. By practicing these steps, you'll shift from passive seeing to active observing. It's just like Holmes. Lesson 2. The deduction blueprint. From a drop of water, a logician. could infer the possibility of an Atlantic or a Niagara without having seen or heard of one or the other? Sherlock Holmes. Holmes isn't just a master of observation. He transforms small details into astonishing deductions. His process follows a simple but powerful pattern. Observe the details. Ah, what do you see? Connect them to prior knowledge. What do these details suggest? Test the logical conclusions. What is the most likely explanation? Let's look at an example. Holmes' deduction in action. The walking stick case in The Hound of the Baskervilles. Holmes and Watson analyze a walking stick left behind by a visitor. Watson guesses it belongs to a rich old doctor because it looks expensive. Holmes, however, notices the handle is worn on one side, meaning it's frequently used. The metal tip is scratched and dented, suggesting it's used outdoors. The initials CCHR engraved, likely indicating a medical institution. Conclusion. The stick belonged to a young doctor who worked in the countryside, relying on it due to constant travel over rough terrain. Watson's assumption was vague. Holmes' method was precise. How to train this skill? Start with small objects. Pick up a random item, a pair of shoes, a book, a wallet, and try to deduce something about its owner based on wear, style, or positioning. Ask, why? About everything. If someone has ink stains on their fingers, don't just notice it, ask what it means. Are they a writer, a student, a cashier handling receipts? Reverse engineer people's habits. Next time you meet someone new, try to deduce what kind of job they have, whether they are left-handed or right-handed, their emotional state based on posture and facial tension. Master this, and you'll start seeing the hidden stories behind every day. Details just like Holmes. Lesson 3. The power of cold logic. Eliminate emotional biases. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories, instead of theories to suit facts. Sherlock Holmes' emotions cloud judgment. People make decisions based on gut feelings, biases, and assumptions, which leads to flawed thinking. Holmes operates differently. He removes emotions from analysis and relies purely on logic. Let's test this. The misdirection problem. A man is found dead in a locked room. His wallet is missing, and a known thief was seen nearby. Who is the prime suspect? Most people would jump to the conclusion, it must be the thief. But Holmes would step back and analyze all possibilities first. Did the man have enemies? Could the scene have been staged? Was the thief truly the last person there, or just a convenient scapegoat? The lesson: never assume. Always verify. How to train this skill. Force yourself to play devil's advocate. When you instinctively believe something, argue against it. Break problems into facts and theories. Separate what you know for sure from what you assume to be true. Detach from emotional triggers. When making decisions, ask, am I thinking logically or emotionally? By mastering cold logic, you'll become immune to manipulation, deception, and false assumptions. Final takeaways from Chapter 1. See what others don't. Train your mind to notice small but critical details. Think like a detective. Don't just observe in eyes, question, and deduce. Remove emotional bias. Base your conclusions on logic, not instinct or assumptions. Sherlock Holmes wasn't born with his abilities. He trained his mind to work differently, and now you're doing the same. In the next chapter, we'll uncover another critical mental weapon Holmes used daily: the power of memory mastery. Get ready! Chapter 2. The Memory Palace Unlocking Sherlock's Superhuman Recall. The Hidden Power of a Trained Mind. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers, having each person introduce themselves and remembering all their names instantly. Or reading a book once and recalling its key ideas months later sounds impossible. Not for Sherlock Holmes. Holmes' mind functions like a highly organized mental filing system. He doesn't just remember random facts, he stores, categorizes, and retrieves information with precision. How? Through an ancient technique known as the memory palace, a method that allows anyone to develop near-perfect recall. And in this chapter, you'll learn exactly how to use it. Lesson 1. Why most people forget and how to fix it. Most people absorb information passively reading, hearing, or watching something once and expecting it to stick. But memory doesn't work that way. Information is like wet cementif. You don't actively shape it. It fades before it sets. The key to Sherlock-level memory is active. Encoding, deliberately structuring and reinforcing knowledge so it lasts. Here's where most people go wrong. They don't associate new information with existing knowledge. Your brain stores data in networks. If you don't connect new facts to old ones, they vanish. They don't visualize information. The brain remembers images far better than words. They don't retrieve knowledge frequently. If you don't revisit what you learn, you lose it. The fix. The Memory Palace. Lesson 2. The Memory Palace, Sherlock's secret weapon. I consider that a man's brain originally is like a little empty attic, and you have to stock it with such furniture as you choose. Sherlock Holmes. The Memory Palace is an ancient Greek technique that allows you to store and retrieve massive amounts of information by mentally placing it inside an imaginary location, like a house, a street, or even a familiar building. Holmes doesn't just remember facts. He stores them in specific locations inside his mind, making recall effortless. How it works step by step. Choose a familiar place. This could be your home, your office, or even a route you walk daily. The more detailed the place is in your memory, the better. Create mental rooms or stations. Think of different sections of your chosen place as folders for storing information. Example: the kitchen could store scientific knowledge. The living room could hold historical facts. The hallway could keep people's names. Etc. Assign vivid mental images to each piece of information to remember a person named Baker. Imagine a baker in your kitchen throwing flour everywhere to recall a crucial fact. Transform it into a bizarre mental picture, the crazier, the better. Walk through your memory palace to recall information. Just as you would walk into a room to find a physical object, you mentally revisit a location to find a memory. Example: how Holmes might remember a crime scene. Let's say Holmes investigates a case where the suspect wore a red scarf, smelled of tobacco, and had a nervous twitch. He places the red scarf on a coat hanger in his memory palace's hallway. He puts the smell of tobacco in the kitchen by picturing cigars stacked in the oven. He stores the nervous twitch in the bedroom by imagining a person tapping their fingers anxiously on the bedside table. Later, when he needs to recall the details, he simply walks through his memory palace and retrieves them instantly. Lesson 3. How to build your own Sherlock-level memory. Now it's your turn. Here's how you can start using the memory palace method immediately. Step 1. Pick a familiar location. Choose a house, a workplace, or even a fictional setting you know well. Walk through it in your mind. Step 2. Assign memory stations. Divide the space into sections: living room, kitchen, bedroom, etc. These will hold different types of information. Step 3. Attach bizarre visual images to facts. Example: want to remember a list of groceries? Imagine bananas dancing in the kitchen, milk flooding the living room, and bread levitating in the hallway. The stranger the image, the stronger the memory. Step 4. Revisit the palace regularly. Walk through your mental space every few days to reinforce what you've stored. This turns short-term memory into permanent recall. Lesson 4. Supercharging your memory like Holmes. Want to take your memory to the next level? Add these bonus techniques to your arsenal. 1. The story method. Turn facts into narratives. The brain remembers stories better than random facts. If you need to memorize numbers, names, or facts, weave them into a short story. Example: if you meet 3 new people, John, Lisa, and Mark Timmage, John running, Lisa laughing at him, and Mark tripping over a chair, you'll remember their names instantly. 2. The PEG system number memorization hack. Assign vivid images to numbers. For example, 1 equals a candle, 2 equals a swan, 3 equals a tree. Instead of struggling with raw numbers, you remember them as visual scenes. Example: to remember 213. Imagine a swan 2, holding a candle 1, next to a tree 3. Spaced repetition. The science of never forgetting. The key to long-term memory is recalling information at strategic intervals. Here's a simple schedule. Review. What you learned after 1 hour. Review again after 1 day. Then, at 1 week, 1 month, and 6 months. Each review strengthens memory pathways. Making knowledge permanent. Final takeaways from Chapter 2. Sherlock doesn't just rely on raw memory. He structures information intelligently. The memory palace is the ultimate tool for recall. By mentally storing data in locations, you can retrieve it instantly. Bizarre mental images make memories stick. The stranger, the association. The strong girth recall. Practice and review turn short-term knowledge into lifelong mastery. Holmes wasn't born with a superhuman memory. He trained it. And now, so can you. Coming up next, Chapter 3. The science of rapid problem-solving. Know that you've mastered Sherlock's memory techniques. It's time to dive into the next essential skill: how he solves problems faster than anyone else. In the next chapter, we'll break down Holmes' 3-step thinking formula for rapid problem solving, how to develop lightning-fast intuition without guessing, the hidden mental biases that slow you down, and how to eliminate them. Get ready to unlock your inner detective. Chapter 3. The Sherlock Holmes Method. How to solve problems faster than anyone else. How Sherlock outsmarts everyone. A murder scene. 2 detectives stand over a body. One scratches his head, confused. The other, Sherlock Holmes, glances at a footprint, sniffs the air, and instantly deduces the killer's height, occupation, and last meal. How? It's not magic, it's method. Sherlock Holmes thinks differently from ordinary people. He doesn't just look at information, he processes it with a precise mental framework that allows him to solve problems faster and more accurately than anyone else. The good news: you can train your mind to do the same by the end of this chapter. You'll have a 3-step Sherlockian problem-solving system that will help you make faster, smarter decisions, solve complex problems with ease. See what others miss. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The 3-step Sherlockian thinking system. You see, but you do not observe. The distinction is clear. Sherlock Holmes, most people see a problem and react. Sherlock dissects a problem and solves it. His thinking process follows a three-step system: observation, absorb details others miss; deduction, extract patterns; and meanings, elimination, remove the impossible and find the truth. Let's break down how you can apply this Sherlockian system to any situation. Step 1. Observation. Absorb details others miss. The biggest mistake people make when facing a problem? They jump straight to conclusions without gathering enough evidence. Sherlock's first rule: slow down. Observe before you think. Most people walk into a room and notice big, obvious things: a couch, a table, a door. Holmes notices everything. A cigarette stain on the carpet indicating a smoker recently visited. A muddy footprint by the door revealing where someone walked in from. A half-drunk cup of coffee meaning someone left in a hurry. How to develop Sherlock's observational skills. Use the 5 senses technique. Look, listen, smell, touch, and when safe, taste. The more senses you engage, the richer the information you gather. Practice the what's different game every time you enter a familiar place. Scan it for one new or out-of-place detail. Over time, your mind will get sharper. The 60-second scan. Give yourself 1 minute to observe a scene, then close your eyes and recall every detail. This forces your brain to notice more. Example: the coffee cup test next time you sit at a cafe. Challenge yourself. Who just drank from that cup? Are there lipstick marks? If yes, was it a woman? A man wearing makeup? Is the coffee half finished or nearly gone? Did they leave in a hurry or slowly enjoy it? You'll start seeing stories hidden in plain sight. Step 2. Deduction. Extract patterns and meanings. Sherlock doesn't just see, he analyzes. He takes raw observations and extracts patterns and hidden meanings. Pattern recognition. Linking small clues to form a bigger picture. Mental models applying tested. Frameworks to solve problems. Hypothesis testing. Generating multiple explanations and testing which one fits best. Example: the muddy shoes deduction. Imagine you're at a party. A man walks in with mud only on the sides of his shoes. Oh, what does that tell you? He didn't step directly into a muddy area. He brushed past mud, likely walking along the edge of a wet street or a narrow dirt path. A tiny detail suddenly reveals an entire story. How to develop this skill? Ask why. 5 times every time you see something unusual. Ask why. Repeatedly. Example: why is my friend late? Gives because traffic was bad. Gives why was traffic bad. Gives there was a road closure. Gives why was there a road closure. Gives a protest. Okay. Now, you've uncovered a deeper cause-effect chain. Categorize. Details. Train yourself to group information into categories like behavioral clues, physical evidence, and environmental context. Play the what's their story game. Observe strangers and guess details about their lives based on their clothes, posture, and expressions. You'll be shocked at how much you can infer. Step 3. Elimination. Remove the impossible to find the truth. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Sherlock Holmes, most people get stuck in problem solving because they cling to wrong assumptions. Holmes eliminates everything that cannot be true. Let's say you wake up and find a broken vase on the floor. Your brain might assume the cat knocked it over. But then you check. The cat was outside all night. There are no paw prints near the vase. You hear footsteps in the hall. You've eliminated the cat theory, which means you need a new explanation. This is how Holmes cracks cases. He systematically rules out false possibilities until only the truth remains. How to use this in real life. List ALL possible explanations. No matter how wild. Cross out anything that contradicts the evidence. The last remaining explanation, no matter how unexpected, is likely the truth. Example: the missing phone mystery. You lose your phone. Instead of panicking, apply Sherlock's method. Where did I last see it? On my desk. Who could have taken it? Only my roommate was home. Did I misplace it? Maybe, but I never leave it in other rooms. What else could have happened? Did I knock it under something? By systematically eliminating false ideas, you quickly zero in on the real answer. Lesson 4. Applying Sherlock's system to your life. Now that you understand Holmes' three-step thinking system, let's apply it to everyday life, business, and work. Use the elimination method to solve problems faster than colleagues. Relationships. Use pattern recognition to detect lies or hidden emotions. Decision-making. Observe. Analyze and eliminate biases before making choices. Final takeaways from Chapter 3. Most people jump to conclusions. Sherlock collects and analyzes information first. He follows a three-step system. Observe, deduce, eliminate. By training your mind to notice patterns and remove false ideas, you can solve problems faster than anyone else. Coming up next. Chapter 4. The Art of Persuasion. How Sherlock influences everyone. He meets. Sherlock isn't just a master detective. He's a master manipulator. In the next chapter, you'll learn how Holmes gets people to reveal secrets without realizing it. The psychological tricks that make him instantly persuasive. The one technique that makes anyone trust you in seconds. Get ready to become dangerously persuasive. Chapter 4. The Art of Persuasion. How Sherlock influences everyone he meets. The power of persuasion. Why Sherlock always gets his way. A suspect refuses to talk. The police interrogate him for hours, nothing. Then Sherlock Holmes walks in. Within minutes, the suspect confesses everything. No threats, no tricks, just words. How? Because Sherlock Holmes is a master persuader. He understands how people think, what drives their decisions, and how to make them talk. Trust and obey without them even realizing it. And in this chapter, you'll learn exactly how he does it by the end. You'll be able to get people to open up without pressure, influence decisions without being pushy. Win trust instantly, even from skeptics. These aren't just tricks. They're mental blueprints based on psychology, observation, and strategic communication. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The 3 pillars of Sherlockian persuasion. Sherlock's persuasion strategy is built on 3 key pillars. The power of perception, making people feel like you see through them. The law of suggestion, leading someone to a conclusion without them realizing it. The emotional override, controlling emotions to influence decisions. Master these, and you'll be able to steer conversations, extract information, and gain influence over anyone. Let's break them down. Pillar 1. The power of perception. I know everything about you. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories, instead of theories to suit facts. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock doesn't just talk, he makes people feel understood. Within seconds, he can tell someone their occupation, their habits, their recent experience, and suddenly they're hooked. When people believe you see through them, they automatically trust you and open up. How to use this in real life. Make cold reads on people. Pay attention to small clues, ink stains on fingers. Likely a writer or an artist. Worn out shoes but a luxury watch. Prioritizes style over comfort. Nervous glances at their phone. Waiting for an important call or hiding something. Use the "I noticed" technique instead of asking. Tell people something about themselves. Example, instead of asking, "Are you nervous?" say, "You seem like someone who values control over situations." Feeling out of control makes you uncomfortable, doesn't it? This instantly builds trust and makes people feel like you get them. Observe before you speak. Most people rush to talk. Holmes listens first, gathers information, and then speaks with precision. The result? People become highly receptive to what he says. Pillar 2. The law of suggestion. Making. People think it was their idea. The true genius shuffles the facts and lets the other person believe they found the answer themselves. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock never forces people to believe him. He makes them believe they discovered the truth on their own. And once someone thinks an idea is theirs, they accept it without resistance. How to use this in real life. Plant seeds instead of telling. Instead of saying, "You're lying," say, "That's interesting. Your story changed slightly from before. I wonder why." Instead of saying, "You should take this job," say, "I've noticed you light up when talking about this role. Why do you think that is?" Use questions instead of statements. Instead of saying, "You're stressed," ask, "Has something been weighing on you lately?" Instead of saying, "You should trust me," ask, "What would make you feel completely comfortable working with me?" Why does this work? Because questions bypass resistance. They let people convince themselves. Sherlock never argues. He guides people to conclusions without confrontation. Pillar 3. The emotional override. Controlling. Emotions to influence decisions. When a man is convinced he's making a logical decision, he is usually following his emotions. Sherlock Holmes people think they're logical. But in reality, most decisions are emotion-driven. Sherlock understands this, and he uses emotions to shift people's choices. How to use this in real life. Trigger curiosity before giving. Answers. Sherlock often hints at what he knows before revealing it. This creates intense curiosity, making people desperate to hear more. Example, instead of saying, "I know who stole your watch," he'd say, "It's amazing how much you can tell from a single footprint. The thief was in this room, and I already know who." Ow! Everyone is hooked. Mere emotions to build instant connection. If someone is anxious, match their tone slightly before calming them down. If someone is excited, share their enthusiasm. To create rapport. People trust those who reflect their emotional state. Use silence as a weapon. Sherlock often lets silence do the work. People hate silence. They rush to fill it. When questioning someone, ask a question and then wait. They'll often reveal more than they intended. Lesson 4. The ultimate Sherlock persuasion blueprint. Now, let's put it all together. Next time you need to influence someone. 1. Start with perception. Show that you understand them before saying anything. Use cold reads and the "I noticed." Kate. Gain their trust immediately. Point 2. Guide them with suggestion. Ask leading questions instead of making statements. Let them discover the truth on their own. Avoid direct confrontation. 3. Control the emotional environment. Create curiosity. Before revealing information, mirror emotions too. Build rapport. Use silence strategically to get people talking. Master these 3 steps, and you'll have the Sherlock Holmes persuasion advantage, the ability to influence anyone, anywhere. Without force. Final takeaways from Chapter 4. People. Trust those who understand them. The best persuasion makes people believe it was their own idea. Emotions, not logic, drive decisions, control them, and you control outcomes. Coming up next, Chapter 5. The Memory Palace. How Sherlock remembers everything. Sherlock never forgets a detail. He uses a powerful technique that allows him to store and recall any piece of information instantly. In the next chapter, you'll learn the exact method Sherlock uses to memorize everything, how to build your own mind palace and recall details like a genius, why this ancient technique can supercharge your intelligence overnight. Prepare to unlock a memory so powerful it feels like magic. Chapter 5. The Memory Palace. How Sherlock remembers everything. The secret to Sherlock's unstoppable memory. Picture this: a crime scene with 100 tiny details, a scrap of paper, the scent of cigar smoke, muddy footprints. Sherlock walks in, glances around, and remembers everything. Days later, when others have forgotten, he recalls it as if it just happened. How? He doesn't have a photographic memory. He doesn't take notes. He doesn't rely on luck. Sherlock Holmes uses a mental weapon so powerful that ancient scholars, world memory champions, and intelligence operatives still swear by it today. It's called the Memory Palace, and in this chapter, you'll learn exactly how Sherlock uses it and how you can, too. By the end, you'll be able to instantly recall names, numbers, and facts, memorize speeches, presentations, and long lists with ease, store and retrieve any information like a genius. It's time to train your mind like Sherlock Holmes. Let's begin. Lesson 1. What is the Memory Palace? My mind is like a tidy attic, well organized and methodical. I do not clutter it with useless information. Sherlock Holmes' Memory Palace is a mental storage system. It turns abstract information into vivid, unforgettable images and stores them in familiar locations inside your mind. This technique dates back to ancient Greece, where orators used it to deliver hours-long speeches without notes. Sherlock uses it too. Memorize crime scene details, recall case histories, store and retrieve crucial facts on command. And the best part? You can use it starting today. Here's how. Lesson 2. How to build your own memory palace. Creating a memory palace is simple. Choose a familiar location, your home, your office, or a place you know inside out. Sherlock uses 2-1B Baker Street as his mind palace. Map out key locations inside it. Think of specific spots: the front door, your living room couch, your kitchen table, your bed. Turn information into vivid images. Instead of remembering Detective Lestrade, imagine him jumping on your bed, spilling coffee everywhere instead of remembering footprints at the crime scene. Picture giant muddy boots stomping through your hallway. Place the images inside your memory palace. Assign each fact or idea to a specific place. Walk through it in your mind whenever you need to recall details. That's it. Your memory palace is ready. But how do you actually use it like Sherlock? Let's break it down. Lesson 3. Sherlock's 3-step memory technique. Sherlock doesn't just store random facts, he structures them for instant retrieval. Here's his 3-step method. Step 1. Encode information into vivid images. Your brain forgets boring things but remembers strange, exaggerated images. Want to remember a license plate? Don't just memorize it. Imagine it tattooed on your hand in glowing neon ink. Need to recall a sequence of events? Picture each event as a scene in a dramatic movie. Step 2. Store the images in your memory palace. Sherlock doesn't randomly store information. He places it in a specific room, object, or pathway inside his mental space. For example, a bloody handprint on the front door gives the first clue at a crime scene. A broken watch on the dining table gives the time of death. A cigar with lipstick on it on the bookshelf gives a female suspect by placing each fact in a familiar location. He never forgets. Step 3. Walk through the palace to recall everything. When Sherlock needs to recall information, he mentally walks through his memory palace. He doesn't struggle to remember. It comes naturally because the images are locked in place. And this is where the magic happens. Lesson 4. How you can use the memory palace in real life. Sherlock isn't the only one using this technique. Memory champions, CEOs, and intelligence agents rely on it too. Remember names instantly. Picture a person's name written in fire above their head. Recall important numbers. Turn digits into objects. E.g. 7 equals a spy with sunglasses. Store entire speeches word for word. Assign each section to a different room. Try it right now. Think of your home. Pick 5 locations inside it. Imagine placing one strange image in each location. Now, close your eyes and mentally walk through your home. Did you recall all the images instantly? That's the power of Sherlock's memory palace. Final takeaways from Chapter 5. Your brain forgets words but remembers images. The memory palace stores information in mental locations. With practice, you can recall anything instantly, just like Sherlock. Coming up next, Chapter 6. Mastering Body Language. The hidden clues everyone misses. Sherlock doesn't just listen to words, he reads micro-expressions, nervous tics, and hidden signals that reveal the truth in the next chapter. You'll learn how to spot a liar instantly. The tiny gestures that reveal what someone's really thinking. How to use body language to gain an edge in any situation. Get ready to see the world differently through Sherlock's eyes. Chapter 6. Mastering Body Language. The hidden clues everyone misses. Sherlock's superpower. Seeing what others ignore. Most people listen to what's being said. Sherlock listens to what's not being said. A twitch of the eye. A hesitation before answering. A nervous hand fidget. These are the tiny subconscious signals that reveal more truth than words ever could. And yet, 99% of people miss them completely. Not Sherlock. He sees everything, and in this chapter, you'll learn exactly how he does it. By the end, you'll be able to instantly tell when someone is lying. Read hidden emotions that others try to conceal. Influence people by mastering your own. Body language ethics isn't a skill. It's a superpower. And after today, it's yours. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The science of body language. What most people get wrong. The human face is a transparent mask. Sherlock Holmes. Most people assume body language is just crossed arms equals defensive and eye contact equals honesty. That's wrong. True body language reading is about patterns, clusters, and context. Here's the golden rule. No single gesture tells the full story. For example, a person touching their nose could mean they're lying, or they just have an itch. Someone avoiding eye contact could be nervous or just shy. This is why Sherlock never jumps to conclusions. Instead, he observes patterns and reads the entire picture. Now, let's break down how he does it. Lesson 2. The 3-step. Sherlock's system for reading anyone like a book. Sherlock uses 3 simple steps to decode anyone's body language in seconds. Step 1. Establish a baseline. How do they normally behave? Closing parenthesis before detecting a lie or hidden emotion. Sherlock first studies how the person acts when relaxed. This is called a baseline. Example, if a person always talks with their hands, then suddenly stops, something's off. If someone usually blinks often, then suddenly freezes, they may be hiding something. Every person has unique habits, and when those habits change suddenly, Sherlock knows something isn't right. Step 2. Spot deviation the moment of change. Once Sherlock has a baseline, he looks for shifts. The second someone deviates from their usual behavior, it's a clue. Telltale signs of hidden emotion. Increased blinking or eye darting gives anxiety. Discomfort, sudden stillness, freezing in place gives hiding something. Rapid breathing or shallow breaths gives stress, deception. Tight-lipped smile gives fake happiness. Concealing anger, twitching fingers or fidgeting gives nervousness. Lying. Step 3. Use context. Don't jump to conclusions. A. Nervous gesture alone isn't proof of a lie. But when combined with suspicious context, the truth becomes clear. For example, if someone touches their nose randomly, it's nothing. But if they do it right after being asked a tough question, suspicious. Sherlock cross-checks every signal with the situation before making a conclusion. Now that you know how to spot deception, let's go even deeper. Lesson 3. The hidden body language cues. No one notices. Sherlock sees what others ignore. Here are 4 powerful clues that expose the truth. 1. Micro-expressions. The fleeting glimpse of truth. A micro-expression is a facial reaction that lasts less than half a second. Most people can't control them, and that's why they reveal real emotions. Example, someone pretends to be happy but flashes a micro-expression of anger before smiling. A suspect says, "I had nothing to do with it," but shows a micro-expression of fear. Sherlock trains his eyes to catch these tiny flickers of real emotion. You can, too. The feet tell the truth. People control their face and hands, but their feet, they tell the truth. Example, if someone's feet point toward the exit, they want to leave. If their toes suddenly curl inward, they're hiding anxiety. If they step back slightly before answering, they might be lying. Sherlock always watches the feet because they betray what the mouth tries to hide. 3. The power of mirroring. How to make anyone like you instantly. People subconsciously mirror those they like and trust. Sherlock uses this trick to gain an advantage. If someone is leaning in, nodding and mirroring your movements, they are engaged. If they sit stiffly, don't mirror, or turn slightly away, they are disengaged. Want to build instant trust? Subtly mirror the other person's posture, tone, and gestures. It works every time. Point 4. The truth is in the hands. People's hands reveal their real emotions. Open palms facing up gives honest, open, hands hidden under table. In pockets gives hiding something. Rubbing hands together quickly gives excitement. Fidgeting with fingers gives nervousness. Sherlock watches hands closely because they speak louder than words. Lesson 4. How to use Sherlock's body language. Skills in real life. 1. Spot a liar in 5 seconds. Look for these 3 deception signals. It's happening together. Sudden stillness or freezing, touching the face, especially nose or mouth. Right after speaking, delayed response before answering. If someone does all 3 right after being asked a question, chances are they're lying. 2. Read someone's true intentions in a conversation. If you're talking to someone, watch their feet. If their feet point directly at you, they are interested. If one foot points toward the door, they want to leave. People don't realize they do this, but Sherlock does, and now you do. 3. Gain instant charisma using mirroring. Want to make someone like you? Simply copy their posture, gestures, and tone of voice subtly, not exaggeratedly. Studies show mirroring creates instant connection and trust. Sherlock uses it to get people to open up down. So can you? Final takeaways from Chapter 6. Body language reveals the truth more than words. No single gesture means deception. Look for patterns, micro expressions, feet position, and hand movements never lie. Mirroring makes people trust and like you instantly. Coming up next, Chapter 7, The Art of Deduction. Thinking like Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock doesn't just observe, he deduces. If the next chapter, you'll learn how to make instant deductions about people just by looking at them, the exact method Sherlock uses to analyze anything in seconds, how to train your mind to see what others miss be the end. You'll think like Sherlock Holmes. Get ready. Chapter 7, The Art of Deduction. Thinking like Sherlock Holmes. The secret to Sherlock's genius. And how you can learn it. Most people see, Sherlock observes. Most people hear, Sherlock listens. Most people jump to conclusions. Sherlock deduces. His ability to analyze a person, situation, or mystery within seconds isn't magic. It's a system, a process of thinking that anyone can learn. And today, you're going to learn exactly how he does it. By the end of this chapter, you'll be able to instantly size up a person's background, habits, and recent activities. Just by looking at them, analyze situations like a detective and spot hidden connections. Make rapid deductions based on tiny details that others overlook. This isn't just a mental trick, it's a real-world superpower. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The difference between seeing and observing. You see, but you do not observe. Sherlock Holmes. The average person sees everything but notices nothing. For example, let's say you walk into a cafe. You see people sitting at tables, a barista making coffee, a newspaper on the counter. Sherlock walks into the same cafe, but observes a man with mud on his shoes. Gives. He was recently outside in a park or garden. A woman tapping her ring finger but not wearing a ring gives she's likely divorced or separated. A newspaper folded open to a financial page gives the last person reading it was interested in stock markets. The difference. You see what's obvious? Sherlock sees what's meaningful, and this skill isn't about intelligence. It's about training your brain to notice details. Let's break down exactly how to do it. Lesson 2. The Sherlock Deduction System. 3 steps to instantly read anyone. Sherlock's deductive thinking follows a clear, repeatable system. Step 1. The scan. Noticing the unnoticed. The moment Sherlock meets someone, he scans them like a machine. Most people focus on faces. Sherlock focuses on clothing, hands, shoes, and small details. What to look for? Shoes, are they polished or worn out? Muddy or clean hands? Any calluses, ink stains, or scars? Clothing, wrinkles, brand new or well-worn. Accessories, expensive watch, cheap one, no watch at all. Example, a man enters wearing a well-tailored suit, but his shoes are scuffed and dirty. A luxury watch. But his nails are bitten down. His shirt is slightly wrinkled. What does this tell us? He cares about his appearance, nice suit, luxury watch, but is under stress, bitten. Nails. He was recently in a hurry or distracted, wrinkled shirt. Ha ha, dirty shoes. His watch is expensive, meaning he either has money or wants to appear wealthy. Sherlock sees this in seconds, and now you will. 2. Step 2. The context. Connecting the clues. Once Sherlock gathers the details, he asks, what do these clues mean together? For example, say you notice a woman wearing comfortable walking shoes. She walks a lot. Slight tan lines on her wrists. She usually wears a watch, but isn't today. She keeps glancing at her phone, but doesn't. Check it. Put it together. She walks a lot, possibly a tourist or a daily commuter. She normally wears a watch, but maybe it broke, was stolen, or left behind. She keeps checking her phone, possibly waiting for someone or feeling anxious. A normal person sees a woman standing there. Sherlock sees her habits, her situation, and her mindset. Step 3. The conclusion making. The deduction. After scanning for details and analyzing their meaning, Sherlock makes a logical deduction. Example, if someone has ink stains on their fingers, they likely write a lot. Journalist, student, or creative writer. If someone has strong calluses on their hands, they do manual labor or weightlifting. If someone's shirt cuffs are worn out, but the rest of their outfit is fine, they use a computer a lot because wrists rub against the desk. It's all about small details leading to big conclusions. Lesson 3. How to train your Sherlock deduction skills. Now that you understand the Sherlock system, it's time to practice. Here are 3 exercises to sharpen your deduction skills. Exercise 1. The Daily Observation Challenge. Every day, choose one random person and analyze them for 30 seconds. Look at clothes: new, old, casual, formal. Shoes worn down, expensive, muddy, hands calluses, ink stains, rings, body language confident, nervous, rushed. Then, make 3 logical guesses about their life. Do this for 1 week and you'll be shocked at how much you start noticing. Exercise 2. The silent room game. Go into any public place, a cafe, train station, park, and observe people without listening to their words. Try to figure out their emotions, relationships, or background purely from body language and clothing. Sherlock often solves cases before a person even speaks. This game helps. You do the same. Exercise 3. The what's missing game. Sherlock doesn't just see what's there. He sees what's missing. Practice this by looking at everyday situations and asking, what should be here but isn't? What changed since last time I was here? Example, if someone usually wears a watch but isn't today, why? If a table has 1 coffee cup but 2 chairs, was someone else here? This game trains your brain to spot the hidden gaps that reveal the truth. Final takeaways from Chapter 7. Most people see, Sherlock observes, deduction follows 3 steps. Scan gives context, gives conclusion. Tiny details, shoes, hands, body language, reveal a person's habits. Training observation skills daily turns you into a real-life detective. Coming up. Next, Chapter 8. The Mind Palace. How to remember everything like Sherlock Dozen. Just observe. He remembers everything. In the next chapter, you'll learn how Sherlock builds his mind palace to store limitless knowledge, the memory techniques used by world champions, how to never forget names, faces, or important details. Be the end. You'll have a photographic memory. Get ready. Chapter 8. The Mind Palace. How to remember everything like Sherlock Holmes. What if you could never forget? Imagine walking into a room and instantly recalling every tiny detail you've ever seen there before. Imagine remembering people's names, faces, and life stories after a single meeting. Imagine being able to memorize long lists, complex information, and entire books effortlessly like Sherlock Holmes. This isn't a superpower, it's a skill. And today, you're going to learn it by the end of this chapter. You'll be able to recall anything with near-perfect accuracy, memorize key details like Sherlock does in seconds, build your own mind palace to store unlimited knowledge. Let's unlock your memory. Lesson 1. The Mind Palace. Sherlock's greatest mental trick. Sherlock Holmes doesn't rely on normal memory. He uses a technique called the Mind Palace. This is a real system used by memory champions, world-class detectives, ancient scholars, and it's scientifically proven to boost memory retention by 500% or more. So what is it? The secret of the Mind Palace. Your brain remembers places better than random facts. 4. Example, you can probably picture your childhood home in vivid detail, right? You remember the furniture. You remember the paintings on the walls. You remember exactly where the kitchen is. Now imagine using that same ability to store any information you want. That's the Mind Palace. It's a mental storage system where you turn memories into visual locations in your mind. Sherlock uses this to remember clues in his cases, faces, and names, complex patterns no one else notices. And now, you're going to build your own. Lesson 2. How to build your own mind palace. Here's Sherlock's step-by-step formula for turning your brain into a memory machine. Step 1. Choose your palace. First, pick a real place you know well. It could be your house, your school, your favorite shopping mall. This will be your mental storage space. You're going to place memory objects inside this space. Step 2. Assign memory locations. No. Choose specific locations inside your palace where you'll store information. For example, in your house, the front door equals first piece of information. The living room equals second piece of information. The kitchen equals third piece of information. The bedroom equals fourth piece of information. Each time you want to remember something, you place it in a room. Step 3. Make it visual and crazy. Your brain remembers images better than words, so instead of memorizing John as a doctor, picture this. John wearing a giant stethoscope, juggling syringes, and riding a hospital bed like a skateboard. The crazier the image, the easier it is to remember. Example, you need to remember a shopping list. Cheese, bread, apples, eggs, instead of just trying to recall them. Place them in your mind palace like this. At your front door, a giant cheese, wheel rolling inside like Indiana Jones. In your living room, a loaf of bread jumping on the couch. In your bedroom, a bed full of apples instead of pillows. In your shower, a rain of eggs falling from the ceiling now. When you mentally walk through your palace, you see each memory. And because it's visual, crazy, and placed in a familiar space, you won't forget it. Lesson 3. Real life. Sherlock memory training now that you understand the system. Here's how to train your memory every day like Sherlock. Exercise 1. The Tenetum. Challenge 2. 1. Pick 10 random objects to place them in your mind palace using crazy, exaggerated images. 3. Walk through your mind palace and recall them in order. After just 5 minutes, you'll be shocked at how easily you remember them. Increase difficulty. Try recalling the objects in reverse order. Exercise 2. The name game. Sherlock never forgets a name. Here's how you won't either. 1. When you meet someone new, connect their name to a crazy mental image. 2. Store that image in your mind palace. Sample. You meet a guy named Tom Baker. Imagine Tom as a giant tomato. Imagine Baker wearing a chef's hat, pulling a loaf of bread from an oven now. When you see him, your brain will instantly recall Tom the Tomato Baker. Do this for just 1 week and you'll never forget names again. Exercise 3. The 5-minute recall drill every night. Take 5 minutes to mentally walk through your entire day in reverse. Try to recall every person you saw, what they were wearing, conversations you had. This strengthens your memory recall and sharpens your Sherlock-style observation skills. Final takeaways from Chapter 8. Sherlock's Mind. Palace is reland. You can build one. Your brain remembers. Places better than facts, so turn facts into places. The crazier the mental image, the easier it is to remember daily. Memory training will make your recall skills near perfect. Coming up next, Chapter 9. The Power of Cold. Rational thinking Sherlock isn't ruled by emotion. He thinks with pure logic. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to control emotions like Sherlock, the power of detached thinking in high-stakes situations, how to train your brain to make perfectly logical decisions. By the end, you'll be unshakable. Get ready. Chapter 9. The Power of Cold, Rational Thinking. How Sherlock Holmes masters logic. Can you trust your own mind? Imagine you're facing a high-stakes decision. Your emotions are screaming at you. Get angry, panic, give up. Most people give in to these emotions, but Sherlock, he detaches. He thinks clearly. He sees reality as it is, without bias, fear, or impulsiveness. What if you could do the same? In this chapter, you'll learn how to stay completely calm under pressure, make razor-sharp decisions even in chaos, train your brain to be emotion-proof like Sherlock Holmes. Let's unlock the power of cold. Rational thinking. Lesson 1. The truth about emotions, Sherlock's hidden advantage. Most people believe Sherlock Holmes is emotionless. That's wrong. He has emotions. He just doesn't let them control him. His secret. Emotions lie. Logic tells the truth. Fear makes you overestimate danger. Anger makes you ignore facts. Sadness makes you feel powerless, even when you're not. Sherlock understands this, so instead of reacting emotionally, he asks, what is the objective truth? You can do the same. Here's how. Lesson 2. The 3-second rule. How to control any emotion instantly. Whenever Sherlock faces an emotional situation, he pauses for 3 seconds. Why? 'Cause impulses last only 3 seconds. After that, you regain control. Try this. Next time you feel angry, anxious, or overwhelmed, do nothing for 3 seconds. Count 1, 2, 3. You'll feel the emotion weaken. That tiny pause prevents bad decisions and gives your logical brain time to step in. Use this rule every day and you'll gain emotional mastery fast, Lesson 3. The Sherlock Holmes Decision Matrix. Sherlock never makes emotional decisions. Instead, uses a mental formula to evaluate every choice logically. Here's how it works. Step 1. Remove emotion from the equation. Ask yourself, if I had no emotions, what would I do? This forces your brain to think rationally. Step 2. Look at the facts, not your feelings. Write down what you know for sure. What is just an assumption? What you need to investigate further. Sherlock always separates fact from fiction. You should. Step 3. Choose the best action based on logic. Finally ask, which choice makes the most logical sense? Not the most comfortable choice, not the easiest choice, the most logical one. This is how Sherlock solves cases, makes perfect deductions, and outsmarts everyone. Lesson 4. The What Would Sherlock Do? Exercise. Next time you face a tough decision, ask yourself, if Sherlock Holmes were in my situation, what would he do? Would he panic? No. Would he react emotionally? No. Would he analyze all the facts and make the smartest choice? Yes. Make this a daily habit tan soon. You'll be thinking like Sherlock automatically. Lesson 5. Mastering the Power of Detached Thinking. The final step to unshakable logic is detaching yourself from personal biases. Most people see what they want to see. Sherlock sees what's actually there. Here's how to train this skill. Exercise. The 5-minute daily observation drill. 1. Go to a public place, a cafe, K-park, a train station. Point to pick a random person and observe them silently for 5 minutes. 3. Write down their body language: nervous, confident, distracted. Their clothing: professional, casual, expensive. Their mood: happy, stressed, impatient. Do not make assumptions. Instead, write down only what you can prove. Do this every day. You'll develop Sherlock-level objectivity. Final takeaways. From Chapter 9. Your emotions are not facts. Train yourself to think past them. Use the 3-second rule to control any emotional reaction. Always ask, what would Sherlock do? Make every decision based on logic, not feelings. Train your detached thinking daily with the 5-minute observation drill. Coming up next, Chapter 10. The Art of Persuasion. How Sherlock gets people to tell him everything. Sherlock doesn't just observe. He makes people reveal secrets in the next chapter. You'll learn the exact words Sherlock uses to get people to talk, how to make anyone tell you the truth, the secret of reading people's emotions in real time. By the end, you'll be a master of persuasion. Get ready. Conclusion. The Sherlock Holmes mindset. Your final transformation. You are no longer the same person. Think back to when you started this book. You were curious, inspired, but perhaps, deep down, a part of you wondered, can I really train my mind to think like Sherlock Holmes? Now, after diving deep into the secrets of observation, deduction, logic, persuasion, and mastery, you realize something profound. You already have the power. The only question is, will you use it? Sherlock Holmes isn't just a fictional detective. He represents a way of thinking, a mindset, a discipline that very few people master. But you are among the rare few who now see the world differently. You no longer just look. You observe. You no longer assume. You deduce. You no longer react emotionally. You respond with precision. You are transforming. The Sherlock Holmes Code 10. Rules to live by. To ensure you never lose this newfound power, here are 10 rules to live by. Sherlock. Holmes' mental framework in its purest form. Rule number 1. See what others ignore. Every detail matters. Most people walk through life blind to the world around them. You don't. Rule number 2. Never assume, always verify. Jumping to conclusions is the fastest way to be wrong. Always separate facts from opinions. Rule number 3. Control your emotions, or they will control you. Emotions distort reality. Pause, detach, and ask, what is the objective truth? Rule number 4. Train your memory like a steel trap. The more you remember, the more you can connect. Use memory palaces, visualization, and association to sharpen recall. Rule number 5. Ask smarter questions. If you want better answers, ask better questions. Instead of why, ask what am I missing? Rule number 6. Master the art of silence. The less you speak, the more you observe. Let others talk. They will reveal everything without realizing it. Rule number 7. Every clue has a story. Nothing is random. Every wrinkle, every hesitation, every word choice tells a deeper truth. Rule number 8. Think in possibilities, not limits. The mind must remain open to all possibilities until the facts prove otherwise. Avoid bias. Stay flexible. Rule number 9. Slow down to speed up. Most people rush to conclusions. Sherlock takes his time. Slow thinking leads to fast, accurate decisions. Your next move. The 30-day Sherlock Holmes challenge. Knowing something is one thing. Using it is another to fully ingrain Sherlock's mindset into your life. Here's your challenge for the next 30 days. Do one of the following daily. Deduction drill. Observe a stranger and write down 3 deductions. Memory training. Memorize a short passage. Then recall it word for word. Questioning challenge. Ask someone a question and analyze their response. Cold logic test. When faced with a decision, pause and use pure logic. Silent observation. Go 1 hour in public without speaking. Just observe after 30 days. This won't be a challenge anymore. It will be who you are. Final words. Your Sherlock Holmes mindset is unlocked. Sherlock Holmes isn't just a character. He is a blueprint, a method, a way of life. And now you hold the key. You see the world differently. You think sharper, faster, deeper. You are no longer guessing. You are deducing. You now have the ultimate advantage. So what will you do with it? That, my friend, is your next great mystery to solve. The game is afoot.